Have you ever had that unsettling moment, sitting completely still, where you know exactly what needs to be done, and yet you do absolutely nothing? Maybe you have a graveyard of half-finished courses, a notes app full of ideas that never breathe, 43 browser tabs you swear you'll read this weekend. You're not lazy, you're not broken, but you are wasting something precious. There is an ancient Japanese proverb, Buta ni Shinji, which translates almost brutally to pearls before swine. The image is violent on purpose. You take something rare, something refined over decades of wisdom and sacrifice, and you throw it into the dirt without a second glance. But here's the part that cuts deepest in your life. You are both characters. You are the one offering the pearls, and you are the one grinding them into the mud with your own feet. The samurai understood something about this that most modern people never will. In the Bushido code, there exists a principle called Makoto, absolute sincerity of action, not sincerity in words, not sincerity in intention, sincerity in what you actually do, and they live by a truth so sharp it destroys every excuse you've ever made. Knowledge without action is not wisdom, it's procrastination wearing a scholar's robe. But there is a way out, and I'm going to show you exactly how to break free from this cycle that's been quietly stealing your life. I'll start Monday at a time. Before we go further, subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and answer me this in the comments. What knowledge do you already have right now that if you actually applied it, would completely change your life? I genuinely want to know. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Collector of Promises. Marcus was 26 years old, and if you looked at his life on paper, it told a story of almost. He almost finished writing his novel. He almost launched that online store. He almost got serious about his health. The word almost had become his autobiography. His bedroom told the full story better than he could. 7 self-development books stacked beside his bed, every single one bookmarked somewhere between page 12 and page 20. 4 online courses sitting in his email receipts, collectively 9% complete. A collection of fresh notebooks, each one beginning with enthusiastic bullet points on page 1, then trailing off into emptiness by page 4. Every morning, Marcus woke up and consumed news, motivational videos, Reddit threads on productivity, podcasts on success. He was drowning in information about how to improve his life while his actual life sat completely unchanged in the background. Every Sunday night brought the same ritual. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is when it truly begins. New plan, new energy, new me. Wednesday morning, same apartment, same job, same paralysis. And here's what made it worse. What truly tortured him. Marcus wasn't confused about what to do. He knew he needed to wake up at 5 a.m. He knew he needed to write every single day. He knew he needed to build real professional connections. He knew he needed to stop spending and start saving. He knew all of it. And he did absolutely nothing until one freezing Tuesday night, staring at his bank account balance. A number that embarrassed him. Sitting in a cramped apartment with 2 roommates, grinding through a job that slowly drained something from him every single day. He asked himself a question he'd been avoiding for years. Why am I still here? The easy answers came first. No money, no time, no opportunities, bad luck, wrong timing. But Marcus sat with the silence long enough to hear the real answer rise up from somewhere much deeper. And it was far more brutal than any excuse he'd rehearsed. But before I tell you what that answer was, stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything. Chapter 2. The dojo. 3 weeks later, Marcus was doing what he always did on Friday nights, scrolling YouTube, half present, half absent, when an ad appeared that he almost swiped away. A martial arts school, 6 blocks from his apartment, first month complimentary. He hovered over the skip button, just another thing to add to the someday list. But a single line on the landing page stopped him cold. Just 5 words sitting in plain text. We don't teach movements, we teach execution. Something about it landed differently. He couldn't explain why. He just didn't close the tab. Monday morning, against every instinct in his body, Marcus showed up at the dojo at 5:45 a.m. The air smelled like aged tatami and something he couldn't name. Old discipline, maybe. The kind that lives in walls. The only sounds were the quiet movements of people already deep in their training. A man emerged from the far end of the room, perhaps 62 years old, lean in the way that only decades of deliberate practice produce. His name was Master Kenji. He offered no smile, no handshake. He simply looked at Marcus for a long, measured moment and asked, "Why are you here?" Marcus gave the answer he'd prepared. Something about wanting discipline, wanting structure, wanting to get his life together. Master Kenji cut through it immediately. "You're here because your life is standing completely still and you cannot understand why. You believe the problem is discipline. It isn't." Marcus said nothing. "How many books about discipline have you read?" 5 or 6 maybe. "How many did you finish?" Pause. 2, maybe 1.5. "And how many principles from those books have you actually practiced consistently for longer than 10 days? The silence that followed was the loudest thing Marcus had ever heard. Master Kenji studied him. "You don't need more knowledge," he said quietly. "You need to stop treating knowledge like something disposable. Do you know the proverb Buta ni Shinji?" Marcus shook his head. "Then sit down, because what I'm about to tell you will either change your life, or you will leave this dojo and never come back." And Marcus felt it, a tightening in his chest, the feeling that he was standing at the edge of something. He sat down, Chapter 3. The Brutal Truth. In ancient Japan, Master Shinji began, his voice low and deliberate. When a true samurai selected an apprentice, he did not test intelligence. He did not test physical strength. He tested one thing above all: whether the student could honor what he was taught. A samurai who received a technique from his master and did not practice it with religious devotion was considered something worse than an ignorant person. Because ignorance is excusable, disrespect toward wisdom is not. Master Shinji let that settle. Buta ni Shinji, pearls before swine. Every course you purchase and abandon, every book you open and close at chapter 3, every strategy you learn and never touch again. You are taking something that masters spent entire lifetimes refining, and you are throwing it into the mud of your procrastination. Marcus felt it hit him somewhere specific, not his pride, somewhere deeper. But here is what will hurt you most. Master Shinji continued, and his voice became something colder. You walk around feeling like a victim of circumstance. No opportunities, no luck, wrong timing, wrong city. But you already possess everything required to transform your life. Right now, today, you simply treat it as if it is worthless. How many genuine opportunities passed through your hands this month alone because you decided you weren't ready yet? How many ideas were born in your mind and then quietly suffocated because you told yourself you needed to research more first? You are not a victim of missing opportunity. You are a victim of absent execution. Something rose in Marcus, heat, almost anger. That's not fair, he said. I need to be properly prepared before I... Master Shinji's voice sharpened for the first time. Preparation without action is simply fear that has learned to dress itself in the language of intelligence. Silence. You continue preparing because as long as you are preparing, you cannot fail. You have built yourself a very comfortable hiding place, and you have filled it with books and courses and highlights and bookmarks, and you call it growth. Heavier silence now. The master's voice softened, but only slightly. There is a principle in Bushido called Makoto, absolute sincerity, not with others, with yourself, and the brutally sincere truth about you, Marcus, is that you are afraid. Afraid of trying, afraid of failing, afraid of discovering that perhaps your best effort still isn't enough. So instead you collect, you accumulate, and you call it preparation. Marcus stared at the floor. Every word landed because every word was true. Do you want to remain here? Master Shinji asked. In this version of your life, silence. Then I will make you an offer. 90 days, you train here. But I will not teach you advanced techniques. I will not share secret movements. He paused. I will teach you something far more powerful: how to stop wasting pearls, and how to become someone who executes. So what happened in those 90 days, nobody saw coming, not even Marcus. Chapter 4. The Executor's Code. Marcus arrived the next morning expecting something cinematic, dramatic sparring, complex sequences, something worth posting about. What he received was a single sheet of paper. 5 principles of Bushin. 1. Makoto, sincerity, honor what you learn by putting it into motion. 2. Rei, respect, apply before you seek more. 3. Gi, loyalty, commit with depth, not just intention. 4. Mayahana, do precisely what you promised. 5. Jin, benevolence, share only what you have genuinely mastered today. Master Shinji said, you will learn one technique, a single punch, and you will throw that punch 300 times. Marcus stared at him. 300 times. Just one punch. Would you prefer to learn 50 techniques and master none of them? Or master one and carry real power in your hands? That is the entire difference between a collector and an executor. A collector craves variety, an executor craves mastery. Marcus began. By the 50th repetition his shoulder was burning. By the 100th his mind was screaming for novelty, for variation, for anything different. This is boring. Let's move on. There must be something more. Master Shinji watched in complete silence. By the 200th repetition something unexpected happened. The movement began to feel natural, less performed, more inhabited. By the 300th, Marcus had stopped counting entirely. His body had simply taken over. Do you feel that? Master Shinji asked quietly. The distance between knowing how to throw a punch and actually throwing a punch, you just crossed it. That crossing has a name. But Marcus still didn't fully understand why he always sabotaged himself the moment real progress began. That understanding was coming, and it would arrive at the worst possible moment. Chapter 5. The Tourist's Mind. Week 2. Marcus was genuinely proud of himself. He was showing up daily. He was training. For the first time in years he was actually doing something instead of planning to do something. And then the email arrived. A full-stack development bootcamp. Heavily discounted, limited enrollment. Transform your career in 12 weeks. Marcus felt the familiar electricity. This is it. This is actually the thing. I could automate everything, build real products, change my entire career trajectory. His credit card was already in his hand before he'd even finished reading the email. At the next session, Master Shinji noticed something immediately. You're elsewhere today. What happened? Marcus explained the bootcamp, the opportunity, the timing, and have you fully completed the last course you purchased? Silence. Have you completely mastered what I taught you this week? Longer silence. Master Shinji looked at him steadily. You are doing exactly what pigs do with pearls. You have barely begun absorbing one piece of knowledge, and already your hand is reaching for another. There is a concept called Shoshin, a beginner's mind, always open, always receptive. It is a beautiful principle when properly understood. But you do not have a beginner's mind, Marcus. You have a tourist's mind, always visiting new places, never actually living anywhere. There is another principle, chagi, loyalty. In the samurai tradition, this was not simply loyalty to a master or a clan. It was loyalty to the practice itself. When a warrior committed to a path, he did not abandon it when it became difficult. He did not leave it when something more interesting appeared on the horizon. Marcus pushed back. But what if I'm training in the wrong thing? What if the boot camp is actually more aligned with? You will discover that answer after you have mastered what you are currently doing. Not before. Do you understand what separates people who achieve extraordinary things from people who remain where they are? It is not that they chose the perfect path on the first attempt. It is that they chose one path and followed it completely to its end. Master Kenji's voice took on a different quality, quieter, almost sad. Look at your history honestly. You started training at the gym, stopped in month 2 to focus on meditation. You built a meditation practice, abandoned it to focus on reading. You began reading seriously, dropped it to focus on networking. You are always focusing, but you are never arriving anywhere. Attention without depth is not focus. It is organized distraction with a productivity system attached. Marcus sat with that in silence for a long time. He recognized the pattern. He'd always recognized it, somewhere underneath everything. He just hadn't let himself see it this clearly before. He did not buy the boot camp. It was the first time his adult life he'd chosen depth over novelty. But the real test, the one that would reveal whether any of this had truly changed him, hadn't arrived yet. And when it did, it arrived at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. Chapter 6, The Public Contract. Here is what you are going to do, Master Kenji said the following week, placing a blank piece of paper on the mat between them. You are going to commit to training here 6 days a week for 90 consecutive days. No interruptions, no renegotiations, no exceptions. I've been doing that. No. You've been doing it privately, which means every morning there is a negotiation happening inside your mind. A very small, very persuasive voice asking, but do I really have to today? He slid the paper closer.
So write it down, sign it.
Then photograph it and post it publicly. Marcus looked up. Why publicly? Because while a commitment lives only inside you, your mind will treat it as flexible, suggestions, preferences. But the moment it becomes visible to others, your brain recognizes that breaking it now carries a cost. Humans are wired to protect their reputation with a ferocity that borders on survival instinct. Use that. Use it without shame. Marcus wrote it, signed it, photographed it, posted it. The comments began almost immediately. You always do this. Big announcement. Gone in 2 weeks, let's see. Really ambitious. How long this time? Marcus read every single one. And instead of feeling crushed, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, fuel. But Master Kenji looked at the comments and shook his head slowly. The 3 real enemies haven't even shown up yet. Marcus felt something shift in his stomach. What 3 enemies? Chapter 7, The 3 enemies. The first enemy, Master Kenji said, is the one sitting with you right now. Excitement. Right now everything is new, you are motivated. Your brain is releasing the chemicals that make beginnings feel electric. But excitement is not discipline. Excitement is a weather pattern. It passes. When it fades, and it will fade, usually somewhere around day 9 or 10, you will discover for the first time who you actually are underneath the enthusiasm. The second enemy is boredom. There will come a point, perhaps around day 18, where training will feel mechanical, tedious, repetitive in the worst possible way. 90% of people interpret this as a signal. They think I must be doing the wrong thing. Progress should feel exciting. But boredom is not a signal to stop. It is a threshold, and the transformation that matters, the deep, structural kind, happens exclusively on the other side of that threshold. The third enemy is the most dangerous because it sounds the most intelligent. He paused deliberately. It is the temptation of expansion. Around week 5, a very reasonable voice will appear. It will say, I've built a solid foundation here. Perhaps it's time to broaden my perspective. Complement this with something additional. The voice will cite logic. It is your mind's most sophisticated method of avoiding depth. Marcus filed all 3 away. They seemed theoretical, almost abstract. They did not remain abstract for long. Chapter 8, When the Easy Days End, Day 12, 5:30 am, the alarm. Marcus lay completely still and felt something he hadn't felt in nearly 2 weeks. He genuinely, deeply did not want to move. His body ached in 3 specific places. The sheets were warm. His mind began its quiet negotiation. The kind that sounds almost reasonable at that hour. 1 missed day changes nothing. You've earned rest. The commitment was about consistency, not perfection. He reached for his phone, not to turn off the alarm, but because his hand had become habituated to it. He saw his post. He saw the comments from people who predicted exactly this moment. He thought about what it would feel like to type, I missed day 12. His feet found the floor. He didn't feel motivated. He didn't feel inspired. He felt barely functional. But he moved through the cold apartment, through the bathroom, through the front door, and into the gray morning. At the dojo, Master Kenji said nothing about his energy or his form. He simply let him train. At the end, quietly, today was your most important day so far. Marcus looked up, not because you trained well. You didn't. But because you trained when every honest part of you wanted to stop. Victories on easy days are unremarkable. Only victories on the days that cost you something, Those build the architecture of real character. In Bushido, there is a concept called food shin, an unmoved mind. It does not mean the absence of difficult feelings. It means your actions are no longer governed by them. Your feelings will shift a dozen times before noon. Your word cannot shift at all. Day 18 arrived and brought boredom, exactly as predicted. A thick, grey, relentless boredom. The kind that made the training feel pointless, repetitive in a way that felt like erosion rather than progress. Masters, Master Kenji said, watching Marcus's expression, are not people who never experience boredom. They are people who have learned to move through boredom without stopping. Boredom is simply a question the practice is asking you. Do you actually want this, or did you only want the feeling of beginning something new? It is precisely in boredom that amateurs turn back, and it is precisely in boredom that masters are made. Marcus kept going, but nothing prepared him for day 52. Chapter 9, the day everything almost ended. Day 52. Marcus woke up and knew immediately something was wrong. Sore throat fever moving through him in waves. His entire body reporting for duty in protest. Full, genuine flu. The kind that makes the distance between the bed and the bathroom feel negotiable. His mind helpfully began constructing the argument, this is legitimate. Nobody would question this. Illness is the one universally accepted exception. You've earned this. The spirit of the commitment was never about risking your health. It was the most convincing thing his mind had ever produced. He texted Master Kenji, sick fever. I genuinely cannot make it today. The response arrived in under a minute. Yes. Can you dress yourself? Yes, but. Then come to the dojo. You don't have to train, you don't have to perform, but you must be present. Practice without presence is interrupted, and the moment you create a gap, you are no longer someone practicing. You are someone who used to practice. Marcus stared at his phone for a long time. Then he got dressed. He sat at the edge of the training floor for the entire session. He did nothing physical. He observed, he breathed, he stayed. At the end, Master Kenji sat beside him. Today you learned something that cannot be taught any other way. The difference between perfection and continuity. Perfection is the enemy of more dreams than laziness has ever been. Continuity, showing up in whatever form is available to you, that is what builds mountains. There is research from a behavioral scientist who spent decades studying habit and identity formation. His finding was striking. The smallest action performed without interruption carries more transformative power than the largest action performed inconsistently. One push-up every single day for a year changes who you believe you are. More than 100 push-ups performed once a month. Because identity is not constructed from your peak moments. It is constructed from what you do when everything in you wants to stop. Marcus sat in the quiet dojo, still feverish, and understood something for the first time. He had spent years waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel motivated, waiting for circumstances to align perfectly. He had been waiting for a version of himself that only gets built by showing up on exactly the days when showing up costs you everything. Chapter 10, the temptation of almost enough. Day 35. Just before the fever, just before the hardest test, came the most seductive one. Marcus had genuinely improved. His technique was clean. He was no longer making beginner mistakes. He moved differently. Even outside the dojo, he carried himself differently. And that's precisely when the invitation arrived, a weekend intensive, a different combat system, practical, modern, complementary to any martial arts foundation. Marcus read it twice, a third time, and then constructed what felt like a genuinely reasonable case. This isn't abandoning anything, this is expanding. I've built the foundation here, now I round it out. That's not disloyalty, that's intelligence. He brought it to Master Kenji. The master read the flyer, set it down, looked at Marcus. Day 30, 5 of 90. You haven't reached the halfway point, and your mind is already architecturing an exit. That is not hunger for knowledge. That is the most sophisticated form of fear I have seen from you yet. But I've already absorbed the core of what. Have you absorbed it, or have you practiced it long enough that it no longer embarrasses you in front of others? Those are not the same thing. There are stages to genuine mastery. The first stage is imitation, copying the external form. You are still in that stage, Marcus. The second stage is comprehension, understanding the principles beneath the form. You are months away from that. But you are ready to leap to something new because your mind cannot tolerate the discomfort of staying in one place long enough to go truly deep. In the old tradition, when a samurai committed to a master, he trained with that master until death, not because other masters lacked wisdom, but because depth with one source of wisdom was worth infinitely more than a shallow introduction to many. You admire people who are genuinely exceptional at something. You have always admired them, but you yourself have spent years attempting to be adequate at many things and arriving at mastery of none. What if I've chosen incorrectly? Marcus asked. What if this isn't the right path for me? Then you will discover that with complete certainty after you have taken this path to its deepest point, not before. Right now, you don't know if this is wrong. You only know that it has become difficult, and difficult and wrong are not the same thing. Marcus did not attend the intensive. For the first time, he chose to go deeper rather than wider, and 45 days later, changed by fever, boredom, doubt, and relentless continuity, he arrived at something he didn't have a word for yet. Chapter 11, the new architecture. Day 70. Something structural had shifted inside Marcus. He no longer woke up and asked whether to go to training. The question had simply ceased to exist. His body moved toward the dojo the way it moved toward water, without argument, without negotiation, without the elaborate internal performance of motivation. He had begun applying the same architecture to the rest of his life. One side project, chosen deliberately, pursued with depth. One book read completely, not bookmarked and abandoned. One professional skill, developed with the same relentlessness he now brought to every punch. In 3 months, his life had not gradually improved, it had transformed, not because he had learned new things, because he had finally stopped grinding up the things he already knew. On day 90, he stood in the dojo. Every single day accounted for. The announcement had been honored completely. Master Kenji approached him, and instead of congratulating him, he asked a question Marcus wasn't expecting. "Do you still need to be here?" Marcus stared at him. A true master does not build dependence. He builds capacity. You came here because you didn't know how to execute. You leave here knowing the dojo was never the point. You were always the point. Come back when you choose to, not because you feel you must. That distinction, Master Kenji said quietly, is the entire difference. Epilogue. The conversation that changes everything 8 months later. A coffee shop. Marcus sat across from an old friend who was doing what Marcus used to do, listing everything he'd consumed and wondering why nothing was changing. "I've taken 4 courses this year, read 11 books. I've watched hundreds of hours of content on exactly the areas I want to improve, and I still feel completely stuck." Marcus looked at him for a moment, then asked, "Of those 4 courses, how many did you actually implement?" Silence. "Of the 11 books, how many are genuinely reflected in how you live your daily life?" Longer silence. "You're not lost. You're standing in the middle of a field of pearls, stepping on every single one of them without realizing it. The problem has never been a lack of knowledge. It has never been a lack of access to information. The problem is execution. Just execution." He told the story of Master Kenji, of Buta Shinji, of the 90 days that rebuilt him from the architecture up. His friend responded with the question that everyone responds with, "But what if I commit to the wrong thing?" And Marcus gave the answer that had finally settled into him as something true. Anything taken to genuine mastery will teach you more than 10 things explored casually. Because the skill is never actually the point. What you are really learning in the process of mastering anything is who you are capable of becoming. Here is the truth. You already know what you need to do. You have probably known for quite some time. You are not waiting for the right information. You are waiting for something to finally give you permission to stop consuming and start moving. Consider this that permission. In Bushido, there is a final principle, Fud-shin, the unmoved mind. It does not promise that doubt will disappear. It does not promise that the temptation to quit will stop knocking. It simply means that when those things come, and they will come reliably, on schedule, your execution continues regardless. The doubt will arrive, the boredom will arrive, the seductive new opportunity will arrive, and your unmoved mind will recognize all of them for what they are: tests, disguised as logic, dressed as reason, carrying the face of wisdom. And you will continue. Franklin Marcus transformed not because he discovered something new. He transformed because he finally stopped treating what he already knew as disposable. And the moment you do that, the moment you begin to honor every piece of genuine knowledge you've received with the execution it deserves, your life does not gradually shift. It breaks open. Because the world does not reward what you know. It has only ever rewarded one currency: what you do. If this shifted something in you, subscribe, turn on notifications, and answer me in the comments. What knowledge do you already possess right now, today, that if fully applied over the next 90 days would transform your life? Don't tell me what you want to learn. Tell me what you are going to do. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not information. It never was. It's execution.